Is Anwar the reason why our ringgit is so strong now? Yes, but not entirely. Prime ministers don't directly control exchange rates, but they do influence confidence, and confidence matters in currency markets. Under Anwar, Malaysia sent a clear signal to financial markets that public finances were treated as a constraint, not an afterthought. So things like deficits and debt sustainability were addressed more directly. That reduced concerns about fiscal slippage and sudden policy shifts. So the unpopular things that he did, like cutting back subsidies and raising taxes, these things contributed to better fiscal health for the country, and that credibility supported the ringgit. But the bigger driver of this all is actually global. The US dollar has weakened as markets began pricing in more rate cuts. Emerging market currencies tend to strengthen together. So this was not just a Malaysia-only move. Global conditions created the opportunity for the ringgit to appreciate, but the fiscal discipline that we had allowed Malaysia to benefit from it. Without that discipline, the ringgit would probably have faced more pressure. So yes, Anwar does deserve some credit, not for controlling the currency, but for taking fiscally disciplined and politically difficult steps that reduce risk and improve credibility. And that's what market responds to quietly and over time. Now, whether this holds in the long term depends on follow-through. Fiscal reforms have to be sustained. Revenue growth has to come from productivity and not just taxation. And our spending restraints must remain credible. A stronger ringgit today reflects reduced risk of that, and long-term strength requires more real economic progress.
Halo gengs, selamat datang ke AMI Story, saluran yang membawakan kisah, fakta, dan perkembangan semasa yang menarik dari Malaysia dan seluruh dunia. Hari ini, kita akan membincangkan satu persoalan yang semakin hangat diperkatakan. Adakah ringgit Malaysia berpotensi menjadi antara mata wang paling kukuh di Asia menjelang tahun 2026? Selepas beberapa tahun berdepan berbagai cabaran ekonomi global, prestasi ringgit yang semakin mengukuh telah menarik perhatian pelabur dan pemerhati ekonomi antara bangsa. Apakah faktor sebenar di sebalik kebangkitan ini?
The ringgit has been one of the strongest currencies in Asia for the past 1 year. Back in 2024, we went around 4.8 against the US dollar, which was close to the weakest it has been since 1998. What's truly driving it is not just because of the weakening of the US dollar. It's Malaysia's fundamentals, like steady growth of our GDP, foreign investments is coming in, especially into the tech, AI and data center space. Investors are buying into Malaysian bonds. What does this really mean if you run a business in Malaysia? If you're paying for tools or platforms that are charged in USD, obviously your cost decreases. If you're importing stuff from overseas, you have more margin. And if you've been holding off, some stability is quite here right now. Make that decision that you were waiting for, whether it's investment, buying of certain tools or importing certain things. Let me be clear, I'm not an economist, obviously, but I run a business for 15 years. Right now, the conditions are decent because with all the external forces, we wouldn't know exactly when the ringgit will fall. In this time, take advantage, take calculated risk, develop your skills, even stocking up your stash. So let me know, are you factoring in the strong ringgit into your business decisions this year?
Why is the Malaysian ringgit so strong? And it's not just strong against the US dollar, it's also strong versus the Sing dollar, the Indonesian rupiah, the Japanese yen, and many other major currencies. One of the main reasons is that now a lot of money is flowing into Malaysia. So for example, we have a lot of local companies who sell their products overseas, so they earn money in US dollar, but they didn't want to bring it back to Malaysia and convert it to the Malaysian ringgit because the Malaysian ringgit was weak. But now, with confidence going back up, they're starting to convert their foreign currencies back to the Malaysian ringgit, which is obviously helping it strengthen. And it's not just them. There's also a lot of foreign investments into Malaysia these days, like $6.2 billion from Amazon for their data centers, and also Microsoft with $2.2 billion. And even foreign fund managers are looking to invest in our local stock market, being Bursa, which is why we've seen such good performance this year, especially in our banking sector. And when all of these foreigners want to invest in Malaysia, then obviously they will need the Malaysian ringgit, which kind of answers the question of,
God damn, the ringgit is going crazy. Guys, are y'all gonna cut your JB trips? Even though it's still cheap. I know some of y'all will still complain, but are you still gonna go JB to Jalan, or are you gonna cancel your JB trip until things go back to normal?
$1 to 3 ringgit 90 cent. Well, not impossible, because ringgit just hit one of its strongest levels again against the US dollar and the Sing dollar. And yes, even a Singaporean politician is telling PM Anwar to relax. But it's not just these two. The ringgit has actually been performing very well against most major currencies. As of right now, it's trading around 3 ringgit and 97 cents per US dollar, and it's currently recognized as Asia's best performing currency. And what's interesting is some analysts are still saying the ringgit may be undervalued, especially if you consider how weak it was just a few years ago. So the real question is, why did the ringgit strengthen so much so quickly? Is it because Malaysia suddenly became so much better, or are we just benefiting from a weaker US dollar? Well, the truth is, it's a mixture of both. Yes, the immediate reason was the US, who has been cutting their interest rates again and again. So holding US dollar doesn't really give investors the same returns as before. And when that happens, money naturally flows out of the US and starts flowing into emerging countries like Malaysia. But at the same time, to give credit where it's due, the Malaysian government is also doing all the right things. Bank Negara kept our interest rates steady and inflation stayed relatively under control. And at the same time, the government has been more disciplined on their spendings. But most importantly, our policies became more predictable, with politics being more stable than before. And you put all that together, investors have confidence in Malaysia again. And the bigger question now is, can Malaysia keep this trust going? And how much further can the ringgit go?
And who is most vulnerable market-wise?
Right now in this environment, within Asia, if I will say, beyond China, Malaysia, everyone looks vulnerable. Malaysia clearly has some amount of a buffer, which you can say coming from net energy exports which they have. Plus, at the starting point, fiscal deficit was very much well under control due to government policy, inflation not being significantly high enough. So they have buffers in place which will not just support equity as an asset class, but even their currencies too. Then comes China. 5% of their electricity production is only dependent on imported energy. Rest, majority of them, they are dependent on their domestic productions per se. They have the strategic buffer close to 1.7 billion barrel capacity available. They have alternatives which we have seen in form of renewables. Plus top of it, they can still go back to coal big time on the electricity consumption per se. So taking that into account, these two economies looks much more safer. Rest, we will see how they navigate, because the question will come, are you going to sacrifice growth or you are going to sacrifice fiscal if this going to get prolonged?
Pengukuhan ringgit bukan sekadar disebabkan kelemahan dolar Amerika Syarikat, malah turut didorong oleh asas ekonomi Malaysia yang semakin kukuh. Kemasukan pelaburan asing dalam sektor teknologi, kecerdasan buatan atau AI, pusat data, serta pertumbuhan ekonomi yang stabil telah meningkatkan keyakinan pelabur terhadap negara kita. Selain itu, ringgit yang lebih kuat memberi manfaat kepada rakyat melalui kos import yang lebih rendah, kuasa beli yang meningkat ketika melancong ke luar negara, dan peluang pelaburan antara bangsa yang lebih menarik. Namun begitu, pasaran mata uang sentiasa berubah mengikut keadaan ekonomi dan geopolitik dunia.
Dalam keadaan ekonomi global yang tidak menentu, Ringgit Malaysia muncul sebagai mata wang terbaik di Asia pada tahun 2026. Pencapaian ini bukan sekadar angka di atas carta, tetapi mencerminkan keyakinan pelabur terhadap kekuatan ekonomi, kestabilan dasar negara serta hala tuju pembangunan Malaysia yang semakin diyakini. Jadi, inilah kedudukan ranking Malaysia. Apa komen anda?
Cap, you tahu tak? Ringgit Malaysia antara the best performer in the world sekarang ni.
Right now, I know we've been improving, sebab everyone talks about it. Ada satu fasa yang ada orang sindir that performance, tapi dia kekal.
Dia meningkat, bukan sekadar dia kekal, meningkat. Saya tahu tahun 2023 kita agak jatuh, tetapi dia memecut dengan laju sehingga sekarang antara the best performer.
We don't feel it, brother. Kita rakyat biasa ni, yang kita tahu pergi stesen minyak, cost is high. Kita nak pergi grocery shopping, cost is high.
Okay, apa impak kepada masyarakat kalau kalau mata wang mengukuh, sebagai contoh, semasa kita membesar dulu, kita dibesarkan dengan trend nak bekerja di Australia sebagai pemetik buah. Sebab apa?
Oh yeah, I remember that trend.
Yes.
A lot of orang Malaysia pergi sana semata-mata nak petik buah sebab they pay high.
Dia bukan pay high.
They do.
Contoh, dia pay 2,000 Australian dollar.
Correct.
Dia convert ke Malaysia jadi berapa? 6,000.
High lah.
Sekarang ni, you bekerja di Australia, you send back to Malaysia 2,000 Australian dollar. Berapa you dapat? Lebih kurang 4,000 saja. Kenapa? Sebab pengukuhan ringgit.
Okay.
Menyebabkan orang kita tak perlu pergi ke Australia pun untuk dapatkan gaji lebih baik. Boleh stay kat Malaysia, menyumbang dekat
Because
Malaysia.
our ringgit is performing.
Mengukuh. Saya nak ambil satu contoh yang paling mudah. Katakanlah masa kita membesar dulu, 10 tahun lepas, memang satu AUD bersamaan 3 ringgit Malaysia. Sekarang satu AUD mungkin 2 ringgit lebih saja. So katakanlah orang kita sakit dekat Australia, kita kena hantar duit. Satu mungkin kos perubatan 1K AUD 3,000. Sekarang kalau orang kita sakit di sana, hantar 2,000 saja, you boleh dapat 1K AUD. So bermaksud apabila ringgit mengukuh, kuasa beli kita di luar meningkat.
Oh, that's why people go shopping overseas now.
Ke Thailand. Sebab itu sekarang ni limpahan ekonomi kita menyebabkan orang kita menjadi daya tarik kepada ekonomi luar. Mereka nak orang kita pergi ke sana sebab orang kita kuasa beli meningkat.
Okay, so sebab mata wang kita strong, that's why we're going overseas and spending.
Ya, orang Indonesia mereka sangat-sangat meraihkan orang Malaysia sebab mereka memandang tinggi ringgit Malaysia. Orang Thailand mereka melihat kalau dulu ringgit Malaysia mungkin jatuh, sekarang sedang meningkat dengan laju. One of the best performer.
So rakyat rasa lah benda ni sebenarnya.
In term of spending locally mungkin mereka tak nampak, tetapi mereka akan terasa juga kalau mereka keluar negara. Tapi sekarang kalau dengan keadaan sekarang kita pergi ke Indonesia, kita mungkin jadi VVIP.
Damn.
Diraikan. Sebab tu kadang-kadang saya pelik orang Malaysia tak meraihkan ringgit mengukuh, sedangkan orang luar cemburunya dengan Malaysia.
Mungkin yang tengah spend, yang tengah enjoy ni semua senyap kat social media kot. Mungkin mereka tak nak riak ke, ataupun nampak yang dia tengah berbelanja sebab takut LHDN perhati ke apa.
Pun mungkin juga.
Semua mata wang jatuh, tapi ringgit tiba-tiba jadi paling kuat di Asia. Apa benda ni? Apa kes weh? Dalam keadaan ekonomi global tak stabil, kebanyakan mata wang Asia tengah merosot. Yen Jepun jatuh, won Korea jatuh, rupiah Indonesia pun susut dengan teruk. Tapi pelik, ringgit Malaysia naik lebih 3%, antara prestasi terbaik di rantau ini. Yuan China pun cuma sekitar 2.9%, Singapura sekitar 1% sahaja. Soalan dia, kenapa Malaysia? Adakah ekonomi kita tiba-tiba jadi kuat? Atau sebenarnya mata wang lain yang semakin lemah? Jawapan dia tak semudah itu. Ringgit naik sebab gabungan faktor aliran pelaburan asing masuk, prestasi perdagangan yang stabil, dan dalam masa yang sama kelemahan mata wang global yang lain. Makna dia dekat sini, ini bukan sepenuhnya kita kuat, tapi juga sebab orang lain tengah jatuh. Renung-renungkan isu di siar iktibar tersirat. Sekian saja daripada saya Viknism. Salam luar biasa.
Sebagai rakyat Malaysia, kita wajar bersyukur dengan perkembangan positif ini. Namun, jangan terlalu cepat berasa selesa. Kekuatan sesebuah mata wang perlu disokong oleh produktiviti, disiplin keuangan dan pertumbuhan ekonomi yang mampan. Gunakan peluang ini untuk meningkatkan ilmu keuangan, mengurus perbelanjaan dengan bijak, memperkukuhkan simpanan dan membuat keputusan pelaburan secara berhati-hati. Ingatlah bahawa kejayaan ekonomi negara bukan hanya bergantung kepada kerajaan atau pelabur, tetapi juga kepada usaha dan sikap setiap rakyat. Terima kasih kerana menonton. Jangan lupa tekan butang like, kongsi dan subscribe AMI Story untuk lebih banyak perkongsian menarik. Jumpa lagi dalam video seterusnya. Semoga Malaysia terus maju dan makmur.